Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh! The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa,
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score!
and we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome. This is Wacky Wednesday on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm Adam Best here with Sterling Holmes and producer Richard Sterling. What's going on, baby?
Just vibing, doing well over here. You know, it's a little drop in temperature here in Kansas City, so it feels almost cool. Things are good though, man. I mean, we're getting close to preseason football. Season is almost here.
Yeah, preseason for me is a little excruciating because you're so close yet so far away. But it's good to see actual football instead of just dudes in shorts running patterns against air. And you know, I know they have full pads, but it's not really full pads. Let's be honest here. It's it's not the real deal. But this Saturday night will be very much the real deal, at least for a little bit, a drive or two, right?
Yeah, just a drive or two, which I know we'll get into a little bit later on in the KC stock market. But if you listen to Andy today, take this all with a grain of salt. The ones will play the first quarter. The twos will play the second quarter. The threes will play the third. The fours will play the fourth. And I sit here and say, okay, sure. The ones will play 3 series. Mahomes will play 1 series, barring a 3 and out. You'll see a lot of 2s, 3s, and 4s. Some initial takeaways from, at least that I had, some initial takeaways in regards to the unofficial depth chart. We still have no idea who puts out the unofficial depth chart. I'll just go ahead and say Brad G puts it out. Probably not, but it could be Brad. And I'll go ahead and just say, you look at it, some of the notes. Derek Nottie, very far back. I know he just is coming back now from injury, all that stuff, but where he's at, surprising considering Justin Reed is still listed as a starter. Joshua Williams is starting at RB2. Kadarius Toney was wide receiver 9 on the depth chart. But outside of those few things, nothing really that alarming. But I will say something funny. LRZ was RB5, right, as we all know. Amani Bailey was RB6 on the depth chart. Imagine playing football in America your whole life, and a dude who is just now playing football for the first time in his entire life is ahead of you on the depth chart. I feel for Bailey. I feel for Amani Bailey.
LRZ is an athletic specimen, or a rare athletic specimen, but I can't believe you said, let me just check that I heard this right. Kadarius Toney, wide receiver 9?
According to the math that I have it breaking down as, that would be wide receiver 9 on said list. Behind
and that was the wide receiver 1 last year, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. He had a couple of reps. I think it was today or yesterday. I can't remember off the top of my head. And first 2 got destroyed. You see him get just rocked by Joshua Williams. He gives up on the route. You see him get just blocked into oblivion by, I think it was Najee Johnson. Doesn't finish the route. And then he had a good route, his third one. And 1 out of 3 ain't bad, apparently, for Toney. And Carson Steele, final thought on the unofficial depth chart, because, again, this does not matter. Carson Steele was listed as fullback. So take that as you will. There's a fullback on the roster.
Yeah, we'll hit on that, too, more later. I think you said Joshua Williams was RB2. You mean CB2, right?
CB2.
He might have to be RB2 if they don't bring someone else in that has experience at running back, right?
Generic Prince has been getting a heavy dose with the ones. Obviously, they know what they have in Pacheco. This is an extended tryout for Generic Prince, and we'll see, I would imagine, a heavy dose of him in the preseason. For Clyde, for example, outside of tune-up, I think they know what they have in Clyde. Deneric is still, to an extent, an unknown. Get ready for, in my opinion, a heavy dose of him.
Yeah, it's a trial balloon. Let's see how he does. And I think if you're trying to talk yourself into Deneric Prince, you can say, well, maybe he didn't make the roster and like play a lot last year. I know he was still like around on the periphery, but he didn't actually like get a ton of action or anything like that because maybe pass protection. Maybe that's where they needed to see his game grow for him to actually be a part of this thing. So we'll definitely be monitoring that Saturday night. We've got a fun show planned for you guys today. We never really focus specifically on the kingdom, on the loudest fans in the world. So today we're going to do that. And let's go ahead and move on to our segment, the 10 types of Chiefs fans. So when you are a dynasty, you become a big tent fandom, right, Sterling? There's a lot of new fans. The kingdom is growing. And we like to say there's no right way to fan. Correct? I think that's something that you often say.
I always say that. There is no right way, correct way to fan. There is a wrong way to fan. That's being a Yankees fan or a Cowboys fan.
Or Broncos fan.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you live in Denver, I was going to say Bengals fans, but if you live in Cincinnati, come on. Seriously, they've never won a Super Bowl. They don't know what it's like. They're going through it right now. Their quarterback's bleaching his hair. They're losing some wide receivers. The money is not good there in Cincy right now. So you know what? I won't even take too much of a shot at them.
They have to eat that chili. I mean.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah. Well, we thought it would be fun to discuss the different types of or archetypes of Chiefs fans and have some laughs along the way, kind of roast everybody, roast ourselves more than anything. Probably you guys are going to laugh at our expense on a few of these. And then keep in mind that many fans are a combination of these. So let's dive right in. The first one is Marty Ball aficionados. So here are the traits. Hardcore old school. Catchphrases like run the damn ball. Still believe that defense wins championships. Hate rules that make the game soft. Very eye test oriented. Do you know anybody like that? Do you have any Marty Ball aficionados in your life?
It's like Matt Connor meets Matt Verderam. What are we talking about here? We have two on the show. I love Marty Ball because I talk to Grunny all the time. I love Tim Grunard. I talk to him all the time. Obviously played in the Marty era. If you talk to most offensive linemen or some defensive players, especially from that era here in Kansas City, they're obviously Marty aficionados. I love these fans. They're old school. They are run the football. At times we'll be at odds because I'm sitting here going, that's not the most efficient way to win. Today's NFL, all the rules are stacked against it. You got to pass. These guys are still sitting here saying, run the damn ball. Defense wins championships, which is funny because they never won during the Marty era, really. But I love Marty Ball fans. They're true, passionate Chiefs fans.
Yeah, the defense did definitely help deliver a championship last year. And I think these are kind of essential football fans that you have in every fan base. You know, lunch pail, meat and potatoes, just salt the earth football fans. It wouldn't be football without these fans. Next up is Team In Veach We Trust. Here are the traits. Never hit the panic button. Sharp sports fans who have seen a lot. Nothing gets their blood pressure up. Well-rounded in football analysis consumption. Can get a little preachy to those who want to panic.
Well, that last part just really nailed you. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You're coming up later on in this one.
Yeah,
I like these a lot because they see the big picture, right? They see the forest through the trees. They see it. They typically see everything. They understand what Chiefs fans have gone through and the Chiefs organization has gone through in the past. My only qualm I have, because I'm a big Veach guy. I talk about it all the time. I talk about how he's the best GM in football. I said it earlier on. I remember catching slack earlier on for saying he was the best GM in football, and people were like, he's got to back it up first. He's got to do, that was just after the first Super Bowl win, I'm pretty sure. And I'm like, no, look what he's done. And then they traded Tyreek Hill and go, pump the brakes. It's going to be okay. Let's trust him. But sometimes, just sometimes, the in Brett Veach we trust. I love you guys. But we're here doing radio, podcast, media work. We sometimes have to be critical. I don't like doing it, but it would be a very boring show if every time we just said everything is perfect. We can't do that. So for that reason, I sometimes butt heads with the occasional Brett Veach, we trust guys.
Well, that's not even the most optimistic group. That is kind of the seasoned, just roll with it, everything is going to be fine. Even, that meme where the house is on fire and everything is fine? I think that's that group. They just, no matter what happens, they think the Chiefs are going to be fine, and really for good reason. And the next one is red colored glasses. So this is our most optimistic group. Think pessimism is a crime punishable by death. Loyal like high school parents, those are our boys kind of vibes. More about the experience than the X's and O's. Will own any rival fans who talk smack. That's always fun. That's a fun part of this one.
That's the best part.
And then they keep the kingdom from getting too negative, because some of us, it's supposed to be fun and we take it a little too seriously at times. So they kind of keep us in check when we get a little crazy.
Got a lot of friends like these, and I love these. These are the people you want to go to the Chiefs game with. These are the people that you will have a damn good time with. These are the people when you see the NFL Top 100 drop. These are the people in the mentions of the NFL and every other team just dropping Mahomes gifts and just letting you know, okay, that's fine. Get ready for Mahomes to hold up the number 4. I love the red colored glasses fans. The only time I'm ever butting heads with these people, or a lot of times it's a Clyde pick. Right, it's sometimes hand in hand with the Veach one. I remember one of my boys, he said he was stoked when the Clyde pick happened. And I said going into the draft, anyone but a running back. Clyde was picked. We were not on speaking terms for a couple of days. I'm like, dude, it's not going to work out. It's a running back. And he basically was like, no, it's the Chiefs. It's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. That's the only criticism I have. Only criticism, but I love them. They're fun to go to games with, and they're great on the X.
Yeah, if you get a little too critical on the X, they'll let you have it. And I've been on the receiving end of that, and I think they mean well. And we're still all one big family. My father is what I see in the upcoming one. King Carl's PTSD crowd. So this is the first group to say, trade, cut, or fire his ass. The old knee jerk, get him out of here. Everything gets their blood pressure up. They help all the homers see their blind spots. They challenge the org with dissent, which is good if it doesn't go too far. And they're the straightest shooters of them all. I have to say, it's kind of fun having these people around, because they can kind of be the loose cannons of the kingdom. And they don't sugarcoat anything, and it's just, it's a different angle when the Chiefs are so good that we just think, because it didn't used to be like this. I think a lot of us used to be in this camp. I probably used to be in this camp, and Mahomes freed us. He freed us from this kind of thinking, this kind of logic. But I think some fans still go back here quite a bit. What do you think about the King Carl's PTSD crowd?
Yeah, I'd say my dad falls in here. I think a lot of folks' dads, if you're not everyone, of course, everyone has their own way to fan, but I think a lot of 60-year-olds and up, they've seen a lot, they've been through a lot. It's hard to trust. You're hoping the 3 Super Bowls in 5 years will squelch that, but I still remember even some last year. Every once in a while, you get a text going, "Oh, that's the same old Chiefs," right? I'm like, no, it's not. It's different. Come on, the 2 rings are good enough, right? 3 rings in 5 years. I mean, you can't open doors, baby. That 3, you can't even open it. You got to use your other hand. But yes, these people will keep you grounded. It's what happened last year during the, you win 11 games, you go 11-6. You're sitting here going, oh, how do you lose to this team, or how does this team stick around? Sometimes you need these people. It's a little kick in the ass, little reminder of things weren't always so great.
I've got a little bit of this in me. I think I went there a little bit during the wide receiver apocalypse that the Chiefs faced during the regular season. It was hard not to. It was hard not to kind of say, here we go again. I think especially if you live through those Carl Peterson years where the Chiefs were just always the bridesmaid, never the bride. You ready to roast me? You ready for some self-deprecating humor?
Oh, big time, pal.
Number nerds. Subscribe to PFF among other analytics services. Have roughly a dozen fantasy teams, which is very uncool. Talk about the cap and the rest of the league way too much. Catch phrases like running backs don't matter, but can sometimes bring valuable new ideas to the kingdom bubble.
All right. This is Adam Best to a T. Just the nerdiest of the nerds. I love Best. I love you, dog. This is you. There's not a better way of describing you than numbers nerds. You do bring valuable new ideas. And somehow I also want to kick your ass at the same time. Or I'll have Justin Reed do it for you. I'm kidding.
Well, he better not be kicking anything right now. We need that quad to heal, right?
No, man. These people are great. I have a big part of me as a number nerd as well. I'm more so in baseball a numbers nerd because 162, 17 games. It's more of you got to get it right. It's the get it right business in the words of Soren Petro. Baseball, I'm more of a number guy. 17 game season, I'm more so more of a vibe guy. You got to feel it out. It's a game to game basis. Sample size is just too small. But these people, like you, very valuable to the kingdom.
So we're going to have to figure out where you kind of fit in by the end of this. Maybe you're a hybrid. Maybe you're a hybrid, or maybe you have
the Tyrann Mathieu, the L'Jarius Sneed of fandom. You can put me anywhere.
The honey badger. I mean, when you said the honey badger, I was like, you go off on people on Twitter, that.
I don't do that though.
So that probably not the honey badger. Maybe the L'Jarius Sneed. So
yeah. Sean says, I hold Adam higher than number nerd. He brings that 90s experience to the table. Yeah, we're all a little bit of a mixture here. You're a numbers nerd coupled with Marty Ball aficionado. No. You're a numbers nerd coupled with
King Carl's PTSD crowd.
King Carl's PTSD crowd, probably. Yeah, that's how I'd call you.
Yeah. I mean, I am my old man's son, so there's I would say that Verderam probably has a little bit of that too, passed down generationally.
Oh,
right?
big time.
Right? So it's
time.
When you grow up and your father is a Chiefs fan, I think that angst is inherited. Let's hit the next one. Only here for the beer. So these people, they love being local. Always the life of the party. They can't name half the starters, but hey, that's okay. They help the kingdom stay fun no matter what, even when we're in a rut. And they hate their wallets on Monday. So these are the people actually that I think you want to go to Arrowhead with.
Yeah,
right?
these people. See, I'm also this, besides the third one. They can't name half the starters, but that's okay, because I'll be naming the most random dudes out there. But, part of these make a lot of sense. Love being local? Check. Always the life of the party? Check. Help the kingdom stay fun no matter what? Check. Hate their wallets on Monday? Also check. There's a part of me's in here too.
Yeah, no one's probably going to fit these perfectly. They're kind of stereotypes, and we're having fun with the generalizations. But it's just funny to recognize yourself and be like, oh shit, I'm a little bit of a cliche, or I'm this or that. I think we have some of the next one on the roster, and that is Film Bros. So these are the traits. Watch all 22 game recaps every week. I do a little bit of that. So have their own weird language, stuff like mesh, duo, pad level. Football junkies who will watch literally any game. Pop Warner, USFL, XFL, flag football in the backyard. They are watching it. Often have takes that fly in the face of numbers because they trust their eyes so much. And they're walking draft almanacs.
I got 2020, baby, just so I can watch film.
Well, there you go. This is the last of kind of the more long-term Chiefs fans, and that's Hank's historians. So these guys and girls were around for the OG Super Bowl team run. cite random stats like the Rain Man. Not quite as tormented as the Marty Ball generation because they got that chip. They at least got to see that chip early on in their lives. They protect us from recency bias and likely to say, back in my day. You know any of these guys or girls?
Yeah, most of them played.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are, they've seen it all. They never get to, they never got too low, I feel like, but they were always hoping for the return to glory. And I almost feel like they enjoy this more than anyone else. Like, I think they enjoy this because now it's taking them back to their youth, coupled with the understanding of this is not normal. What we're witnessing in Kansas City, this is not the norm. We've seen it a few times, the Steelers dynasty, the Patriots dynasty, but how many teams have been close? How many teams thought that their window was open longer or they lost? I mean, the Cowboys obviously had their dynasty, but like the Bills, 4 straight losses in the Super Bowl. Like, it's almost a dynasty. It's an AFC dynasty, but it wasn't quite there. There's just so many of like Seattle. Like, Seattle thought that they were going to become one with Russell Wilson and that defense, and it never culminated in such.
Legion of Boom.
I mean, the Chiefs have really taken advantage of every single opportunity. Yes, they've lost one, right? Obviously, they had an offsides in a divisional or AFC championship game. But, like, those things happen, and they've bounced back. And that's the key between the Chiefs and so many other teams who have been close. The Chiefs have cemented themselves now with the back-to-back. How easy would it have been for them to have been, all right, with the offsides in the Super Bowl, it takes 5 more years for them to get it back. They lose to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. It takes them a couple years to get back. No. They said, we're putting our stamp on it. Let's go back-to-back the following couple years. Like, and that's what I think cements this current iteration of Kansas City. It's the resilience. It's not the Aaron Rodgers with the Packers where they get one and you're sitting here going, how do they squander so many opportunities? The Chiefs are, 3-4 in the Super Bowl in the Mahomes era, right? Am I doing my math correctly now?
You are Goodwill Hunting over there.
So it's just crazy to me. Like, that's 75%. That's insane. It's not normal. And I think these older OG Chiefs fans understand this isn't normal.
Yeah, they understand the context in a way that not all of us can fully understand. So you have to appreciate that. And they were kind of lit the fire for what's become one of the great legacies now in professional sports. Now, these last two are going to be a lot of fun because they're new groups. Let's start off with Dynasty Bandwagoners. So they are enthused, to use one of Sterling's favorite words, to experience the glory days and bring a spark. They lack the trademark trauma most KC fans possess. Yankees and Warriors merch in their closets, most likely. Mahomes has been their guy since day one, allegedly. May or may not be around when the fun ends. What do you think about this group? Are you glad to have them? Do you welcome them in? Do you think we'll retain some of them?
Yeah, I think some will. It's just how, LeBron and the Lakers, for example, have retained so many fans. If you're a LeBron fan when he went to LA, even though they're not winning necessarily right now, they still have a massive fan base. The Lakers always have had a massive fan base, so maybe it's a bad example there. The Warriors, though, are a good one. They haven't done a whole bunch. I don't know how much they're going to do this year. Obviously, losing Klay Thompson, but that might be a addition by subtraction after his season this year. But it's the Steph Currys. I hope they're not Yankees fans because, damn, I hate the Yankees, man. I just can't stand them. But yeah, like I will accept bandwagoners. Like, that's where the Chiefs have come from. You're rooting for a team in the middle of the United States. This ain't major market. Come here. Come enjoy a cold pint with the boys, with the ladies, with everyone. Get you some barbecue. My fiance's now shaking her hands after I said get a beer with the boys and the ladies. Think she liked that one. See, I keep track of everyone here, Nat. We're all inclusive here. But yeah, as long as they're not Yankees fans, I think we're good.
And I kind of understand some of this group too, especially if you're younger. So when I grew up in Springfield, the Kansas City Kings were around for a blip when I was young. I think I went to a game when I was very, very, very young, but they left, and I didn't have a basketball team. I didn't want to be like everyone else and root for the Bulls, so I rooted for the Pacers because they were another Midwestern team, and they were somewhat close, and I just liked the Pacers. So if you don't have a team, and a lot of states and areas don't have a team, and Patrick Mahomes captivates your imagination, hey, welcome. He does the same for us.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's the fact that they're so entertaining, captivates the imagination. And I love this from KCDC. It says, I get stoked with the international folks jumping on the bandwagon. Like, that's so cool when you see, fans from Germany or fans from the UK and now Wales because of Louis Rizam. Like, it's just cool seeing the international brand of the Kansas City Chiefs take flight. And that's badass.
Yeah, and we're having a little fun at their expense. But of course, it's great to kind of be the it team right now and bring so many football fans into the kingdom and new football fans. I think that's a good transition to our next one, the Swifties. So we couldn't not mention the Swifties. They helped forge the greatest fan alliance in the world. I dare you to argue against that because they will find you. They will be up in your mentions and doing the good work. Committed to learn everything about their girl and team. Never, ever, ever cross them. Just wise words of advice there. They bring style and panache to the red and gold. And God help us if Taylor and Travis break up.
I love Taylor Swift. I love Taylor Swift fans. No, I'm not being told to say this.
No, that doesn't sound like a hostage video. Yeah, I don't want to get any trouble there. So all hail the Swifties. Let's get into the. That was a lot of fun.
It is cool. No, I quickly. It is actually really cool getting a whole new fan base of people who maybe traditionally did not watch football, or if they did very sparingly. It's kind of cool because this is actually again how you grow the game. I mean, seriously, this is how you get people who don't watch your sport to watch the sport. Are you going to agree and have fun and be lockstep with every single one? No, you're not. But are you with every single person to begin with in the world? No, you aren't. I think this is cool. It's reaching a new fan base. It's unique. We've not seen this traditionally, at least in my 30 years of someone. It'd be like if Michael Jackson fans all of a sudden all became a massive fan of whatever football team he rooted for. Like, because I mean, she is almost on Michael Jackson level, which is just insane to think about. I mean,
right.
I don't want to say anything about the music or people's talks about that, but it's just insane. The pop culture phenomenon that has been Taylor Swift. And again, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the team that's reaping the rewards.
And you have to think that, of course, the Swifties are great fans and loyal and everything, but the gateway drug that the Kansas City Chiefs are to football, the offensive circus that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid and everyone else produces, it's really entertaining introduction to football. Now, you can't expect all football to be like that, but for now it is. Let's get into some Kansas City stock market. I know you love this. I love this. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
Fugazi, fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a fairy dust.
Tell me the difference between stupid and illegal, and I'll have my wife's brother arrested.
Now, here's something I don't understand. But we're going to say former Raiders head coach Jon Gruden is not just hanging out and will become part of the staff this season. Pump or dump?
Dump. I think he's good friends with Andy Reid, correct? I mean, like they've gone back. They've known each other for a long time. I think this is just an unemployed dude hanging out with his boy who he's known for a long time. I mean, they even say man all the time, like Gruden and Andy Reid. A lot of the same vernacular. No, I think this is just a nothing burger, personally. Where is he going to go? Special assistant to the nothing. No, I don't see Gruden coming back, especially this year. If you want to say a few years down the road or something, okay, I'll entertain that. But this year, no.
I think I agree with you, but what the Chiefs and the program here are doing is so special that they have the liberty to think outside the box, I think. But what I feel like this is Jon Gruden has kind of been in the wilderness, got into some hot water, and his good friend Andy Reid, who I think has a really big heart and likes to give people second chances, is trying to rehabilitate his friend, is trying to bring his friend back into the NFL family. And, Andy Reid, you got to appreciate about him. I think he truly sees the best in everybody in the football world and wants to bring out the best in people.
I would agree, and I also think he almost tries to reimagine images. He's a guy, if someone has a bad image, he's like, yeah, I'll take care of you. Hang around good old Andy for a little bit. We'll get that PR looking a little better.
Yeah, I can't argue there.
All right, next one. Patrick Mahomes will play more than one drive in Jacksonville this Saturday. Pump or dump?
Nope. I am dumping. Dumping real fast, real hard. No doubts about that decision. This is coach speak. I don't think he's going to want to have Patrick Mahomes out there for more than a series, especially he can say whatever he wants on Wednesday, but when Saturday comes and the adrenaline is flowing, Patrick Mahomes is going to be a wild man out there. He's going to try. He's so competitive that I don't think he can go at 70%. And he's going to get hit once, and Andy's going to say, you know what? It ain't worth it. You got your game action. You dipped your toe in the water. Now let's put you in bubble wrap until the regular season.
Yeah, it's one drive unless it's 3 and out. So I'm dumping, but if it's 3 and out the first drive, then I think he comes out for a second one. That's the only reason why I think we'd see Mahomes for a second drive. So I'm
you're hedging.
Can I hedge that bet? I'm being even more specific, actually. I'm being pretty damn specific. One drive unless it's 3 and out, and then it's 2.
Yeah, and the theory there is you want Patrick Mahomes and that first unit to end their preseason together on a positive note.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. This next one we touched on in the introduction, and we're going to say that Carson Steele is listed as the starting fullback on the first depth chart, so Andy Reid is bringing back the fullback position. Pump or dump?
Dump. I don't believe this. I like Carson Steele. Got great hair, great name. I mean, the lettuce is immaculate. I don't see him. You have 4 tight ends. I'm doing my 53-man breakdown just as we speak, just in general for next week and everything, but just predictions. Unless he's considered the 4th running back, or you think you need to keep him just as a chain. But what does he really bring? I like the physicality, the short yardage situations, but you kind of have short yardage backs already on your team. Like Deneric Prince is a big-bodied guy. Clyde's not super explosive, obviously. Isaiah Pacheco's fast, but not explosive in that way, right? And he's more of a short yardage back to begin with, right? He can pick up those short yards if need be. Where does Carson Steele come in that you're getting this massive improvement from? I like Carson Steele. If he's RB4 or if he makes the roster, they just label him at fullback, fine. I just don't see them actually bringing the fullback position back, especially if you want to keep 4 tight ends, which I do think the Chiefs want to do. So I think Carson Steele, outside looking in.
Okay. I'm going to go against you here and do a light pump. And I have a few reasons. The first off is they've had Blake Bell on the roster, and he's kind of an H-back, right? He does some of this fullback stuff. I think they like to have a player like that. And I look at the roster and I'm like, I know Noah Gray can do some of that, but you look at Kelsey, Wiley, and Irv Smith. Those guys are not, they have 0% fullback in them. So that's the first thing. The second thing, and here comes the numbers nerd. The Chiefs were 26th in yards per carry on under center runs last year. That I don't know if they're going to repeat if they run the ball that poorly under center again. They have to clean that up. And some of it, I think, as highly as we talk about the interior offensive line, and Joe Thuney was a great pass blocker in the regular season last year. Creed was good. Trey had his moments. I don't think they were very good run blockers a lot of the time. They kind of took a step back from the previous season. I thought Trey Smith really stepped up in the postseason and kind of really turned his season around and looked dominant. He looked real dominant in that Dolphins game. But if they're worried about how they were running the ball, especially on obvious running downs, Carson Steele is someone that can help them. And they didn't have that for the first time last year. And maybe Andy Reid missed that a little bit. So I could see him bringing it back.
Congrats, Marty Ball.
Run the damn
You're
ball.
a Marty Ball nerd. That's what it is. We found it. You are a Marty Ball analytics nerd.
A walking
right?
contradiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like catch-22, right? It's the ultimate catch-22.
I'm having a real identity crisis right now. I'm like Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. I don't know if you've seen that. Probably not.
I love that movie. It's a great movie.
Oh, good. Oh, you have seen it. Where you just,
of course I've seen it.
He plays
Tropic
so many
Thunder.
parts, he doesn't know who he is anymore.
Yes.
That's what you're doing to me here.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
Perfect.
I would love,
No
though.
notes.
I would like Carson Steele if he makes.
He has a pet alligator. I mean, how
It's
cool is
badass.
that?
He's awesome.
Big fan.
I want it. But what I want doesn't always happen.
We want our little mini Thor on the Chiefs. It'd be a lot of fun. Let the good times roll.
All right, finally, both Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith get extended prior to the regular season. Pump or dump?
Half pump, half dump. They're going to get Creed done because I just think that's important to do. But with where the guard market is, I know what they're saying, and they want Trey to feel important. I just don't know if they're going to, on the heels of those big guard contracts this offseason, if they're going to want to negotiate with Trey right now. There may be some recalibration, as we've seen. You know, sometimes there'll be a market correction where we saw this with wide receiver pay, where teams were like, okay, Christian Kirk is not worth that. So we're not going to negotiate off that contract. We're going to throw that out. Let's be more reasonable here. That might happen. But I think with Creed Humphrey, where the center market is, him possibly being the best center in the league now that Jason Kelsey is no longer around, you just have to get this done. They got Butker done, so I think they're moving along. I was a little surprised that was the first to get done, but it was probably the easiest. So why not just get it off the board? How are you feeling here?
Yeah, the half pump. I think they get Creed done. I don't think they get Trey done. I think Trey Smith is going to want to play out the full season either way, right? I think he wants to have a full good year. I mean, he was a little up and down last year. This was not his best season last year. The year prior was better, right? It's almost like Nick Bolton, right? Like Nick Bolton, I think he himself wants to play this entire season because he was hurt half the year. So whatever he gets offered is not going to be the same as if he goes out and balls out, right? Also, that means you have multiple bidders then going after your services. I think Creed for sure gets done. I think Creed stays in Kansas City a long time. Whilst I think Trey Smith, as much as I want him here, he's just going to get himself priced out of Kansas City, which will be good for him. Like I'm happy for him. A 6th rounder, he hasn't made the money. I mean, Creed Humphrey was a 2nd rounder. You make more money based on where you're drafted. Trey Smith is not getting nearly as enough money compared to what his production has been in the NFL. He'll make up for that when he hits free agency.
Yeah, I will kind of play devil's advocate here because I think the Chiefs have been very, very cautious with the salary cap. And there's room to get more creative and more aggressive if they want to. And I think if there's a place where they're going to do that, that offensive line and protecting Patrick Mahomes, who's really a billion-dollar quarterback, would be the place they're going to do it. I think they put a premium now on the offensive line post Super Bowl 55, right, where the offensive line cost them what would have been a 4th Lombardi in this stretch. So Veach just seems like he's in a place where he's never, ever going to let that happen again, even if he has to overcompensate and overcorrect and spend more resources than most teams would on the offensive line.
Yeah. I mean, again, Mahomes can elevate wide receivers, but he can't elevate wide receivers when he's getting sacked, right? He can't elevate the defense. So I always say you got to spend money on the offensive line, spend money on the defense, wide receiver, running back. That's about the, again, it's a salary cap era. But I'm spending my resources monetarily on the offensive line and defense because Mahomes can't elevate those guys. He elevates the offensive line to an extent, right? But again, he can't when you're under pressure the entire game. Question, or not even a question. What's the question? From Gary Holland in the chat. Appreciate you, Gary. Says, do you think Nico Remigio makes the 53? And I say yes. I think Remigio does make it. I think Tony's out. I think LRZ's out, which means the special team guy is going to be Nico Remigio. That's the way I see it breaking down. That's my personal opinion. I think punt returner is either Xavier Worthy. It's going to be Xavier Worthy. And then I think kick returner is going to be Nico Remigio. I think McCole Harbin, we'll see. He might be the emergency punt returner, might be the second kick returner. But I think Tony at this point, if I were placing a bet, I'd say he'd be on the outside looking in, and I think LRZ's on the outside looking in.
The new car scent on Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore has completely worn off. And Remigio seems to be one of these guys that just pleases the coaches, that is in the right place at the right time, does everything he needs, not a knucklehead, seems very dependable. I think they've been looking for a special teams ace so they don't have to play key contributors, key receivers back there as much, or Pacheco back there. I agree. I think he's going to make the roster.
It's almost like Marcus Kemp. Like, they always get a guy that doesn't do much receiver work, but he's just a special team stud. To an extent, Marcus Kemp was that guy, right?
The play in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, I mean, legendary.
Yeah, so I'll give my 53-man prediction for everyone listening. Me and Briscoe, we're going to do that on the Tuesday show next week. We're getting closer, and I'm just crunching the numbers, if you will. I'm just looking down, trying to figure out how many offensive linemen, how many defensive linemen, how many secondary members, how I'm going to label Shamari Connor, and if that even matters, if it's safety or cornerback. So we'll see. We'll see, but the roster crunch at wide receiver is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Dave Tobe is a special teams coach with tenure, very well respected. He generally gets a guy or two on the roster that are his call. And this seems like a player that he's going to say, I want Remigio on the team. Yeah, we'll see how that shakes out.
Exact same boat.
That's all we've got for you guys on this Wacky Wednesday. One favor to ask. We don't usually do this, but it would really help us out. Please consider leaving a 5-star review for the AA podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That is perhaps the biggest thing you can do to support our show. Join us live next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central right here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. Until then, go Chiefs.